The wolf shouldn't have been alive, not with silver bullets lodged that deep, not with wounds that spelled certain death. But his eyes, one amber and one startling blue, locked onto mine with an intelligence that made my breath catch. And when his bloodied maw formed what looked impossibly like the word, please, I made the fatal mistake of letting him in. I should have known better. 3 years of exile had taught me that much, at least. The blizzard howled around my cottage like a living thing, rattling the shutters and sending snow through every crack in the walls. I'd been checking my herb stores when I heard the scratching at my door, weak, desperate, the sound of claws against wood. No wolf came to a witch's door. Not even a dying one. But when I opened it, there he was. Massive, black as midnight, and bleeding out onto my porch. The snow beneath him was already pink, spreading wider with each labored breath. Silver burns marked his fur in ugly patches, and I could smell the poison working through his system. Damn it, I whispered. I was Sarah Lockwood, former daughter of the Silver Paw Pack, now nothing. Banished for being broken, for being born werewolf but unable to shift. Cursed, they'd called me. An abomination. My father had personally escorted me to the territory's edge 3 years ago and told me never to return. So no, I didn't owe any wolf anything. But those mismatched eyes found mine again, and something in them pleaded. Not just for life, I'd seen dying animals before. This was different. This was aware. Human. You're going to get me killed, I told him. Then I grabbed him by the scruff and dragged all 200 pounds of wolf into my cabin. The first night was the worst. I dug 3 silver bullets out of his hide while he whimpered and thrashed, my hands burning from the contact even through my gloves. Silver was poison to werewolves, and I was enough wolf that it hurt me too, just one more reminder of what I was and wasn't. I packed his wounds with a poultice of yarrow and comfrey, then wrapped him in every blanket I owned. The fire roared, sweat dripped down my back, but the wolf shivered like he'd never be warm again. Don't die, I said, more order than plea. I didn't haul your furry ass in here just to have you bleed out on my floor. His tail twitched. I could have sworn it was amused. By the second day, his breathing had steadied. The wounds were closing, slower than they should for a werewolf, but closing. I brewed teas from my stores, the ones I'd learned from books and experimentation, the forbidden kind that pack healers would have whipped me for knowing. Rowan bark for strength. Nettle for the blood. And just a whisper of monkshood, carefully measured, to counteract the silver poisoning. The wolf watched me work with those strange eyes, tracking my every movement. You're lucky I'm good at this, I told him, sitting cross-legged beside where he lay. The cabin was small enough that I could reach my kitchen, bedroom, and workshop without moving more than a few steps. Perfect for a hermit. Perfect for someone no one wanted around. 3 years of practice on nothing but myself and the occasional forest creature. You're my first werewolf patient who isn't me. I laughed, but it came out bitter. Not that I've ever needed to heal from silver, I continued. Can't get shot if you can't shift. Can't run with the pack if you're not really pack. Can't be anything but. I stopped myself. Talking to a wolf like he could understand. Like he cared. But he whined softly and shifted his massive head until it rested against my knee. The gesture was so deliberately comforting that my throat tightened. Yeah, okay, I whispered, running my fingers through his fur. You can stay. The third night, I woke to the fire burning low and the distinct feeling of being watched. The wolf was gone. In his place, sprawled on my floor in a tangle of shredded blankets, was a man. A very naked, very unconscious, devastatingly handsome man. Oh, hell. I scrambled up, grabbing my poker from beside the hearth. He didn't move. In the dim firelight, I could see he was all lean muscle and golden skin, with black hair that fell across his face. The wounds I'd treated were now silver scars across his ribs and shoulder, fresh, but healed. He'd shifted. Which meant the silver was out of his system. Which meant he could wake up any second. I should have run. Should have grabbed my emergency pack and disappeared into the woods. Instead, I threw a blanket over him and built up the fire, keeping the poker close. An hour passed. Then another. Finally, as dawn crept through my windows, he stirred. His eyes opened, amber and blue, just like the wolf's, and fixed on me with startling clarity. "You," he said, voice rough. "You saved me. I'm reconsidering that choice." "Who are you?" He sat up slowly, keeping the blanket around his waist, and I tried very hard not to notice the way his muscles moved. Tried and failed. "Ash," he said after a pause. "My name is Ash." "That's convenient. What else do you remember?" His brow furrowed. "Running. Pain. Cold. Then, you." He looked around my cabin, taking in the dried herbs hanging from the rafters, the jars of tinctures, the books stacked haphazardly in corners. "How long was I?" 3 days. "You were shot with silver and left to die in a blizzard. Any idea who'd want you dead?" "Hunters," he said immediately. Then stopped, like the word had surprised him. "I think. It's blurry." I studied him. Amnesia was possible with that much trauma and silver poisoning. It was also a convenient excuse. "The hunters don't usually come this far north," I said carefully. "Not into pack territory." "Am I in pack territory?" "The edge of it. My cottage is technically neutral ground." I hesitated. "I'm not pack." Something flickered in his expression. Understanding, maybe. Or pity. I hated both. "You're werewolf," he said. It wasn't a question. Born, not made. Just broken. I stood, poker still in hand. "Look, I helped you because leaving you to die seemed harsh. But if you're running from something dangerous, I need you gone. I can't afford trouble. I won't bring you trouble. Everyone says that." "Sarah." I froze. "I never told you my name." He blinked, and for a moment he looked as confused as I felt. You talked to me. When you called yourself Sarah." "Had I?" "Maybe. I talked to myself enough in this cabin that it was possible." "Right," I said, not entirely convinced. "Well, Ash, you're healed enough to travel. There's a rogue settlement 2 days south. They don't ask questions. I'll pack you supplies, and you can leave at nightfall." "And if I want to stay?" The question hung in the air between us. His eyes, God, those eyes, held something I couldn't read. Earnestness maybe. Or calculation. "You don't," I said firmly. "Trust me." But I let him stay for breakfast. Then lunch. Then I told myself it was too close to dark for him to travel safely, that he could leave in the morning instead. He helped me gather wood. Sat quietly while I worked on my preparations for winter. Didn't ask invasive questions about why I lived alone or why I couldn't shift. It was almost nice. Having someone there. That should have been my second warning. That evening, I was restocking my herb cabinet when I noticed him watching me. Really watching me, with a focus that made my skin prickle. "Something wrong?" I asked. "That plant," he said, nodding to a dried bundle hanging near the back. "What is it?" I glanced over my shoulder. Wolfsbane, with its distinctive purple flowers now faded to brown. Monkshood. Wolfsbane. I pulled it down, running my fingers over the brittle stems. Deadly to werewolves in the wrong dose. Healing in the right one. Why? His jaw tightened. No reason. I just recognized it. From where? I don't remember. But his eyes said differently. They'd gone sharp, knowing, fixed on that plant like it meant something crucial. Like it meant everything. "Ash." "It's late," he said abruptly, standing. "I should sleep. Early start tomorrow, right?" I watched him retreat to the corner where I'd set up a pallet, my mind racing. Wolfsbane was common enough, but there was something specific about his reaction. About the way he'd looked at it. The Alpha King's banner flew with Wolfsbane emblazoned on black silk. Every wolf knew that symbol. I returned the bundle to its hook and tried to ignore the cold dread settling in my stomach. Ash was hiding something. Something big. And I'd just let him into my home, my sanctuary, the one place in this world that was mine. Outside, the wind picked up again, howling through the trees. Inside, Ash's breathing evened out in sleep, or what he wanted me to think was sleep. I sat by the fire, poker across my knees, and didn't close my eyes. Because 3 years of exile had taught me something important, trust was a luxury broken wolves couldn't afford. And Ash, with his convenient amnesia and his two knowing eyes, was dangerous. The only question was whether he was dangerous to me, or to whoever was hunting him. Either way, I was involved now. Damn it. Wanting to see what would happen next, subscribe to this channel to get to listen to more of our upcoming exciting stories. Click on the subscribe button now. Thank you. Chapter 2. Morning came too fast and found me still awake, watching Ash sleep in the gray dawn light filtering through my windows. He didn't sleep like a man with nothing to hide. Even unconscious, there was a tension in his shoulders, a readiness in the way his hand rested near the knife I'd left on the table. Like he expected an attack at any moment. Like he was used to expecting attacks. "You're staring," he said without opening his eyes. I didn't jump. Didn't look away either. "You said you'd leave this morning." "I did say that." His eyes opened, finding mine across the small space. "Changed my mind." "That's not how this works." "How what works?" He sat up, the blanket falling to his waist, and I focused very hard on his face. "You saved my life, Sarah. I owe you. Let me repay that debt." "I don't want." "Your roof is leaking in 3 places. Your shutters are held on with hope and rust. That woodpile won't last you through winter, and your chimney needs repointing before it collapses." He stood, wrapping the blanket around himself with unconscious grace. "Give me 2 weeks. Let me make repairs. Then I'll go." I should have said no. Should have handed him clothes and supplies and watched him walk away. Instead, I heard myself say, 3 weeks. Your ribs aren't fully healed." The smile he gave me was devastating. 3 weeks. That's how I ended up with a roommate. Ash worked like a man possessed. By the end of the first day, he'd patched the worst of the roof leaks and reinforced the shutters. By the end of the second, he'd started on the chimney, moving with a confidence that spoke of experience. "Where'd you learn masonry?" I asked, watching him work from where I sat grinding herbs. "Here and there." He didn't look down, just kept carefully placing stones. "You pick things up when you're moving around. Most rogues don't. Most rogues don't survive long enough to learn." He paused, wiping sweat from his brow despite the autumn chill. "How long have you been here?" "In this cottage?" 3 years. Since my exile." "Exile." His hands stilled on the stones. "Tell me." It wasn't quite a command, but something in his tone made my spine straighten. Made the dormant wolf in me, the broken thing that had never emerged, want to answer. I hated that feeling. Craved it too. "There's not much to tell," I said, forcing my attention back to my work. "I was born into the Silverpaw pack. Good bloodline, strong parents. Everyone expected me to shift at puberty like normal wolves do." I crushed rosemary between my fingers, releasing its sharp scent. But 13 came and went. Then 14. 15. By 16, the whispers started, cursed, broken, abomination. By 18, my father had heard enough. What did he do? The memory still tasted like ash. Called a pack gathering. Declared me clanless. Said I was no daughter of his, no member of our pack, and if I ever set foot in Silverpaw territory again, I'd be killed as a trespasser. I looked up, meeting Ash's eyes. My mother stood beside him and said nothing. My brother looked relieved. The expression on Ash's face was murderous. Pure, cold rage that made him look nothing like the charming stranger I'd been living with. They exiled you for something you couldn't control, he said, voice deadly quiet. That's how pack law works. If you can't shift, you can't hunt, can't fight, can't contribute. You're a liability. That's not pack law. That's cruelty masquerading as tradition. He climbed down from the roof with fluid grace, crossing to where I sat. You deserved protection. Family doesn't abandon. He stopped abruptly, jaw clenching. Sounds like you have experience with that, I said softly. I don't remember. But his eyes said he was lying. I should get back to work. He did, and I let it drop. But I filed the reaction away with all the other inconsistencies piling up around Ash like kindling waiting for a spark. The days fell into a rhythm. Ash worked on the cottage while I prepared for winter, preserving food, making medicines, reinforcing my wards. He was easy company when he wanted to be, telling stories about places he claimed not to remember visiting, making me laugh with dry observations about the local wildlife. But there were moments when the mask slipped. Like when I dropped a jar and he said, "Stop," in a tone that made me freeze mid-motion, my wolf instinct screaming alpha even though I'd never shifted, never submitted to anyone. Or when he read the spines of my books, philosophy, history, tactical treatises I'd collected over the years, and discussed them with an education that no wandering rogue should possess. Or when he moved, sometimes, with the lethal precision of someone trained for combat. Someone who'd killed before and would again. You're not really a rogue, are you? I asked one evening while we ate dinner. Ash looked up from his stew. What makes you say that? Rogues don't carry themselves like they own the ground they walk on. They don't speak 3 languages or know military strategy or, I gestured at him. Or command people without even trying. Command people? Earlier, when I was reaching for the high shelf. You said, "Let me," and I nearly snapped to attention. That's an alpha ability, Ash. Not something rogues have. He set down his spoon carefully. Maybe I was an alpha. Before. Were you? I don't remember. Stop saying that, I snapped. Stop lying to me in my own home. Tension crackled between us. Ash's eyes flashed, both colors brightening, and for a moment I thought he might actually tell me the truth. Instead, he said, "I'm trying to protect you." From what? From getting involved in something that could destroy you. Too late, I said. You bled on my porch. We're involved. He laughed, but it was bitter. God, you're stubborn. I've had to be. We stared at each other across my small table, and something shifted in the air. Not anger anymore. Something hotter, more dangerous. Ash looked away first. I should check the traps before dark. He left before I could respond, and I sat in my cottage wondering what the hell I was doing, letting a beautiful liar live in my space and upend my carefully constructed solitude. Wondering why I didn't want him to leave. The hunters came on the 13th day. I was gathering late-season berries near the stream when I heard them, voices carried on the wind, along with the smell of silver and gun oil. 2 men, maybe 3, moving through the woods with the confidence of people who expected no resistance. I dropped my basket and ran. Ash was repairing the woodshed when I burst into the clearing. He took one look at my face and went still. Hunters, I gasped. Close. Maybe a quarter-mile east. How many? 2 for sure. Maybe a third. Most rogues would have run. Would have grabbed their things and disappeared into the forest, leaving me to deal with the fallout. Ash's entire demeanor changed. The easygoing handyman vanished, replaced by something cold and predatory. He moved to my cottage door, scanning the tree line with tactical precision. Inside, he said. Not a request. This is my inside. Now. The command hit me like a physical force. My wolf, dormant and useless as it was, whimpered in submission. I found myself moving before I'd made the conscious choice, and I hated him for it even as I obeyed. We were barely through the door when the hunters emerged from the trees. 2 men, heavily armed, with the insignia of the Hunters Guild on their jackets. The guild was supposed to track rogue wolves who preyed on humans, but everyone knew they took private contracts too. Bounty work paid better than justice. "Hello, the cottage," the taller one called. "We're looking for someone." Ash's hand shot out, stopping me before I could respond. He stepped in front of me, blocking me from view, and when he spoke his voice was different. Lighter, with a hint of nervousness that sounded nothing like him. "Can I help you?" The hunters approached, weapons conspicuously visible. "We're tracking a dangerous rogue. Male, black wolf, distinctive eyes, 1 amber, 1 blue. Seen anyone matching that description?" "No, sir," Ash said, affecting a slight tremor. "Just me and my mate here. We keep to ourselves." Mate. The word sent an unwelcome thrill through me. The shorter hunter's eyes narrowed. "You werewolf?" "Yes, sir. But peaceful. We don't want trouble. Mind if we search your property?" Ash glanced back at me, and the fear in his eyes looked startlingly real. "Please, we haven't done anything wrong." The tall hunter stepped closer, and I saw his hand move toward his weapon. That's when Ash moved. One moment he was cowering. The next, he'd disarmed the tall hunter, broken his wrist, and had him on the ground with a knee on his spine. The whole thing took maybe 2 seconds. The shorter hunter raised his gun, but Ash was faster. He threw the tall hunter's knife with perfect accuracy, pinning the gun to a tree by its trigger guard. "Leave," Ash said, and the voice that emerged was nothing like the one before. This was pure authority, pure power, the voice of someone who expected absolute obedience. "Tell whoever sent you that they're looking in the wrong territory. Leave now, and you get to walk away." The tall hunter whimpered. The short one went pale. "Who are you?" the shorter one breathed. Ash smiled, and it was terrifying. "Someone you don't want to find." They ran. I watched them crash through the undergrowth, tripping over roots in their haste to escape. Watched until the sound of their retreat faded completely. Then I turned to Ash. "What the hell was that?" "That was me keeping you safe. That was you. You moved like a trained warrior. Threw that knife like you've done it 1,000 times. And that command," I pressed my hand to my chest, where my wolf was still reeling. "What are you, Ash?" "I told you. Don't you dare say you don't remember." I was shaking now, adrenaline and fury mixing into something volatile. "Those men were terrified of you. Actually terrified. What did you do? Who sent them?" "Sarah. The truth. Now." He looked at me, and I saw the war in his eyes. Saw him weighing what to tell me, what to keep hidden. Then his gaze shifted past me, and his expression went cold. "Third hunter," he said quietly. "In the trees. Northwest." I didn't think. I moved closer to Ash on instinct, seeking the protection of the predator I knew over the threat I didn't. "Can you see him?" I whispered. "He's watching us. Has been since the others ran." Ash's hand found the small of my back, pulling me against him. "He's assessing. Trying to figure out if he can take me alone." "Can he?" "No." The confidence in that single word should have frightened me. Instead, it sent heat pooling low in my stomach. "He's got a rifle with a scope," Ash continued, his lips brushing my temple as he spoke, making it look like an intimate moment instead of tactical observation. "Silver rounds, probably. If he's smart, he'll leave. If he's not." The crack of a branch. The hunter was moving, trying to get a better angle. "We need to break his line of sight," I said. "I know." Ash's hand slid up to cup my face, tilting my chin up. "Sarah, I need you to trust me." "I don't." "Just for a moment." Trust me. His eyes, amber and blue, wolf and mystery, held mine. Then he lowered his head and kissed me. I'd been kissed before. Clumsy fumbling with pack boys before my exile, awkward attempts at normalcy with human men in the nearby town. Nothing had prepared me for this. Ash kissed like it mattered. Like I mattered. His hand cradled my face with surprising gentleness while his mouth moved against mine with devastating skill. The world narrowed to the point of contact, his lips, his warmth, the way he tasted like wood smoke and something darker, more dangerous. I forgot about the hunter. Forgot about the lies and the questions piling up between us. Forgot everything except the feeling of being wanted, being claimed, by someone who looked at me like I was precious instead of broken. My hands fisted in his shirt. His arm banded around my waist, pulling me impossibly closer. The kiss deepened, and a sound escaped me that I'd be embarrassed about later. Ash made a rough noise in response, and suddenly I was being walked backward until my spine hit the cottage wall. He followed, pressing against me, and the kiss turned hungry. Desperate. Real. God, it was real. Whatever game he'd started this as, it had become something else entirely. I could feel it in the way he trembled against me, in the barely leashed control in his grip. When he finally pulled back, we were both breathing hard. He's gone, Ash said roughly. Saw enough to think we're just what we appeared to be. And what's that? Lovers hiding in the woods. His thumb traced my kiss-swollen lower lip. Just two wolves who want to be left alone. I should have pushed him away. Should have demanded answers, should have reminded him that this was a tactic, nothing more. Instead, I heard myself whisper, was that just for him? Ash's eyes blazed. You know it wasn't. I don't know anything about you. You won't even tell me the truth. I can't. Can't or won't? Both. He pressed his forehead to mine, and the gesture was achingly intimate. Sarah, if I tell you the truth, you become a target. Everyone I tell becomes a target. I won't do that to you. I'm already a target. Those hunters. We're looking for a nameless rogue. Once I leave, they'll forget about you. And when are you leaving? The question hung between us. 3 weeks, we'd agreed. We were barely halfway through. Soon, he said, but he didn't sound certain. I should leave soon. But you won't. No. His hand slid into my hair, tilting my head back so I had no choice but to meet his eyes. Not yet. Why? Because you deserve better than what they gave you. Better than exile and loneliness and living in the woods like you're the one who did something wrong. His voice dropped, going rough. Because when I look at you, I forget about all the reasons I should stay away. I forget about everything except. He stopped himself, jaw clenching. Except what? I demanded. Except how much I want you. The word struck like lightning. Want. Not need, not desire for some useful broken wolf he could manipulate. Want. Simple and devastating. This is a terrible idea, I whispered. The worst, he agreed. You're lying to me. About many things. But not this. Never this. He kissed me again, and this time I kissed him back without hesitation. Let myself have this moment of pretending, of feeling normal and desired and whole. We stumbled inside somehow, mouths still connected, hands exploring. Ash kicked the door shut and pressed me against it, and I wrapped my legs around his waist with a shamelessness I didn't know I possessed. Sarah, he groaned against my lips. Tell me to stop. No. I'm trying to do the right thing. Since when? He laughed, and the sound was wild, reckless. God help me, you're going to be my undoing. Good. His control shattered. Or maybe mine did. I couldn't tell where I ended and he began as we shed clothes and inhibitions, as 3 years of loneliness and a lifetime of feeling unwanted poured out of me into his capable hands. Later, much later, we lay tangled in my bed, the fire burning low and our breathing slowly returning to normal. Ash's fingers traced lazy patterns on my shoulder while I rested my head on his chest, listening to his heartbeat. "I have to tell you something," he said quietly. My stomach clenched. "Is this the part where you finally tell me the truth?" "No." "Yes. Partially." He sighed. "The Alpha King is touring the territories. Inspecting borders, assessing threats." I went very still. "How do you know that?" "It's common knowledge." "No, it isn't. The king doesn't announce his movements to common wolves. Only to alphas and their inner circles." Ash's hand stilled on my shoulder. "Sarah. Those hunters weren't looking for a rogue, were they? They were looking for someone specific. Someone important enough to warrant guild bounty hunters." I pushed up, looking at him. "Someone connected to the Alpha King." He met my eyes, and I saw the admission there even before he spoke. "I can't tell you everything. But yes. I'm connected to the king." "How?" "That's the part one can't say." "Were you his enemy? His soldier?" I stopped, a horrible suspicion forming. "His prisoner?" "It's complicated. That's not an answer. It's the only one I can give you." Fury and fear warred in my chest. "Get out. Sarah. You made me complicit in something I don't understand. Brought danger to my door, made me care about you, and you won't even tell me why." I pulled away, grabbing my shirt from the floor. "Whatever you're running from, whoever you're hiding from, I want no part of it. Leave. Now." "I can't." "Why not?" "Because leaving you might be the thing that gets you killed," he said quietly. "The hunters today were just scouts. When they report back, and they will report back, more will come. Better trained. Better armed. And they'll want to know what you know, who you're protecting." Ice flooded my veins. "Then you shouldn't have come here in the first place." "I didn't have a choice. I was dying. And now I might die too. Congratulations, Ash. Or whoever you really are." I finished dressing, my hands shaking. "I'm going to check the wards. When I get back, I want you gone." I made it to the door before he spoke again. "You asked me earlier if I was an alpha," he said. "Before I lost my memory." I stopped, hand on the doorknob. "I was. I am." 3 days, he agreed. "But when I tell you the truth, you might wish I'd chosen goodbye. That's my risk to take." He kissed me then, soft and sweet and heartbreaking. "You're going to hate me. Probably. But you'll understand why I lied." "Will I?" "God, I hope so." He rested his forehead against mine. "Because you're the best thing that's happened to me in a very long time, and I don't want to lose you." My heart did something stupid and hopeful in my chest. "Then don't lie to me anymore." 3 days, he promised. 3 days until the truth. 3 days until everything changed. I just didn't know yet that the truth would be far more dangerous, and far more impossible to walk away from, than I'd ever imagined. If you're still listening to this story up to this point, why don't you subscribe to this channel to continue getting impactful daily stories like this? We would be most grateful if you can do that to help boost this video to reach everyone. Thank you. Chapter 3. The 3 days felt like 3 minutes and 3 years all at once. We didn't talk about the deadline. Didn't acknowledge the ticking clock that would force truth or goodbye. Instead, we existed in a strange bubble where Ash fixed my cottage and I pretended not to notice the way his eyes followed me, hungry and intent. The tension was suffocating. Every accidental touch felt electric. Every moment alone together crackled with the memory of that kiss, that afternoon in my bed that we'd both been carefully not mentioning. He'd sleep on his pallet. I'd lie in my bed. And neither of us would sleep at all, hyper-aware of the other's presence in the small space. On the second night, I couldn't take it anymore. I got up, intending to brew tea or check the wards or do anything other than lie there aching. But Ash was already awake, standing by the window, shirtless and bathed in moonlight. "Can't sleep?" he asked without turning. "No. Me neither." The silence stretched between us, taut as a bowstring. "One more day," I said. "Then you tell me everything." "I know." "Are you going to run? Disappear before sunrise tomorrow and save yourself the trouble?" He turned then, and the look on his face made my breath catch. Raw. Desperate. Decided. "No," he said. "I'm not running anymore." "Then what are you doing?" "This." He crossed the room in 3 strides and kissed me like a drowning man finding air. I should have pushed him away, should have maintained some distance, some dignity. Instead, I grabbed his face and kissed him back with 3 years of loneliness and longing. We stumbled toward my bed, shedding clothes and inhibitions. This time felt different from before, more intense, more desperate. Like we both knew this was the last moment before everything shattered. "Sarah," Ash breathed against my neck, my shoulder, my collarbone. "God, Sarah." My wolf stirred. I froze. That couldn't be right. My wolf had been silent, dormant, dead for my entire life. I'd accepted that broken piece of myself years ago. But now, with Ash's hands on my skin and his scent surrounding me, I felt it. A presence inside me, stretching awake like it had been sleeping instead of absent. Not fully formed, not strong enough to shift, but there. Aware. Responding to the man above me with recognition that went bone deep. "Mate," it whispered. "Ours." "No," I gasped. "That's not, I can't." "What's wrong?" Ash pulled back immediately, concern overriding desire. "Did I hurt you?" "My wolf." I felt my wolf. He went very still. "What?" "Just now. For the first time in my life, I felt it. Like it was waking up." I pressed my hand to my chest, where the sensation still hummed. How was that possible? Something complicated crossed Ash's face. Fear. Hope. Resignation. "Because of me," he said quietly. "What do you mean because of you?" "Sarah, I need to tell you something. The truth. All of it. Right now, before." "Before what?" He opened his mouth to answer, but the words never came. Because that's when the howls started. Not wolf howls. These were ceremonial, formal, the kind that announced important arrivals. They came from multiple directions, surrounding my cottage in a coordinated pattern that spoke of military precision. Ash swore viciously and rolled out of bed, grabbing his clothes. "Get dressed. Now." "What's happening?" "They found me." "I'm so sorry, Sarah. I thought we had more time." "Who found you?" The pounding on my door answered that question. "Open in the name of the Alpha King," a voice commanded. "This territory is under royal jurisdiction." My blood turned to ice. The Alpha King. The most powerful werewolf in existence, ruler of all packs, the one wolf every alpha bowed to. His elite guard only deployed for matters of critical importance. And they were at my door. "Ash, what did you do?" I whispered, pulling on my shirt with shaking hands. "I'm sorry." He was fully dressed now, standing between me and the door with that protective stance I'd seen before. "Sarah, I need you to know, everything I felt, everything we shared, that was real." "What are you talking about?" The door burst open. Not broken, unlocked by someone with authorization to override any barrier. 6 wolves in royal black flooded my cottage, weapons drawn, moving with lethal coordination to secure the space. "Clear," one of them announced. Then they all dropped to one knee. "Your Majesty," they said in unison. "Thank the gods you're safe." I stared. At them. At Ash. At the impossible scene unfolding in my tiny cottage. "Your Majesty." I repeated numbly. Ash, except he wasn't Ash, was he? Closed his eyes briefly. When he opened them, the man I'd known was gone. In his place stood someone else entirely. Someone who wore authority like a second skin, who radiated power that made my awakening wolf whimper in submission. Sarah. Don't. My voice came out strangled. Don't you dare. A seventh figure entered. Older, distinguished, with silver threading through his dark hair and eyes that missed nothing. He carried himself with an authority second only to. Oh God. Beta Marcus, Ash said, and even his voice was different now. Clipped. Royal. Report. The traitors have been identified and contained, Your Majesty. The assassination attempt has been traced back to 3 conspirators, including Alpha Darius of Silverpaw. Beta Marcus's gaze flicked to me, sharp and assessing. We've been tracking your movements since you disappeared. When the hunters reported a powerful alpha matching your description, we mobilized immediately. Silverpaw. My former pack. My father. The room spun. You're the Alpha King, I said. Statement, not question. You're Alaric Thorn. Yes. The missing king that half the territories have been searching for. Yes. And you've been here. In my cottage. Lying to me. Using me, my voice broke. Sleeping with me while pretending to be someone else. It wasn't like that. Then what was it like? I was shaking now, rage and betrayal and humiliation mixing into something toxic. You let me save you. Let me nurse you back to health. Let me believe you were just some rogue, someone like me, broken and alone and trying to survive. You let me fall for someone who doesn't even exist. He does exist. Sarah, everything I showed you, everything we shared, that was me. The real me. Not the king, not the alpha everyone expects me to be. Just me. You don't get to make that distinction. I turned on Beta Marcus. Did you know about this? His Majesty's mission required complete secrecy, Marcus said carefully. The assassination attempt revealed traitors in the highest levels of the court. We needed them to believe the king was vulnerable, perhaps dead, so they would reveal themselves. So he faked his own death and hid in the woods like a coward. I would choose your next words very carefully, one of the guards growled. But Alaric, I couldn't think of him as Ash anymore, raised a hand. Stand down. She has every right to be angry. Angry? I laughed, and it sounded unhinged. I'm furious. I'm humiliated. I pressed my hands to my face, trying to breathe. You used me. My exile, my loneliness, my desperation for connection. You used all of it. No. Sarah, please. Did you laugh about it? The broken wolf so starved for attention that she'd believe anything? Did you find it amusing? Stop. The command in his voice made everyone in the room straighten. Made my wolf whimper and roll over in submission. Don't you dare think that. Don't you dare believe for 1 second that any of this was a joke to me. Then what was it? He crossed to me, and his guards tensed, but he ignored them. Ignored protocol and propriety and everything except me. It was real, he said fiercely. You are real. The only real thing I've had in years. Do you understand? I'm surrounded by people who want something from me, power, favor, alliance. Everyone sees the crown before they see the man. But you. He cupped my face with hands that trembled. You saw me when I was at my weakest. When I had nothing to offer. And you saved me anyway. You challenged me, argued with me, made me laugh. You made me remember what it felt like to be a person instead of a position. Pretty words from a practiced liar. I never lied about my feelings for you. You lied about everything else. Because I had to. Because telling you the truth would have made you a target. His eyes blazed, amber and blue, the colors I'd thought were just unusual but now realized were documented. The mark of the Thorn bloodline. And you're a target now anyway because I'm a selfish bastard who couldn't stay away from you. Your Majesty, Marcus interrupted gently. We should move this conversation to secure location. This cottage is exposed. No, I said. He's leaving. They're all leaving. This is my home. Sarah. Get out. All of you. Now. I can't do that, Alaric said. You don't have a choice. This is neutral territory. You have no authority here. Actually, I have authority everywhere. That's what being king means. His jaw clenched. But I won't force you. I'm asking. Please come with us to the capital. You're not safe here. I've been safe here for 3 years. That was before you harbored the king. Before you became connected to him. Marcus stepped forward, and his expression was grim. Miss Lockwood, your former alpha, Darius of Silverpaw, is one of the primary conspirators in the assassination attempt. He's been experimenting with blood magic, specifically targeting wolves he's deemed defective for rituals designed to steal alpha power. The room tilted. What? He's been abducting wolves who can't shift, who were born with disabilities, who were rejected by their packs. Using them in ceremonies to enhance his own abilities. Marcus's voice was gentle but relentless. Your exile wasn't about tradition. It was about making you vulnerable. Making you accessible. My father wouldn't. Your father sold you to him, Alaric said, and the rage in his voice was volcanic. When you were exiled, Darius paid him for information about your location. They expected you to die out here, and when you didn't, they planned to collect you eventually. I couldn't breathe. Couldn't process. My father. My pack. They hadn't just abandoned me, they'd marked me for death. We found evidence in Darius's compound, Marcus continued. Lists of targets. Your name was circled. Marked as priority acquisition. Why? My voice was barely a whisper. Why me specifically? Alaric and Marcus exchanged a look. Tell her, Alaric said quietly. Because you're not broken, Marcus said. Your wolf isn't absent. It's dormant. Sealed by ancient magic sometime in your childhood, likely by your mother to hide what you are. What I am? I'm nothing. You're an Omega, Alaric said. The rarest wolf classification. Born once in a generation, if that. Omegas are healers, peacemakers, and... He hesitated. True mate to an alpha king. The world stopped. That's why your wolf responded to him, Marcus explained. Why it's waking now after years of silence. You're bonded. True mates. Your wolf recognized its match and is trying to emerge to complete the bond. No. I backed away from all of them. That's not, true mates are legend. They're not real. They're rare, Alaric corrected. But very real. I felt the bond the moment I regained consciousness in your cottage. Why do you think I stayed? Why I couldn't leave even when I should have? He moved toward me slowly, like approaching a spooked animal. You're mine, Sarah. And I'm yours. That's why I can't let you stay here unprotected. That's why I need you to come with me. So you can lock me in a palace? Make me your queen because some mystical bond says I have to be? So I can keep you alive, he said fiercely. Darius knows about you now. The moment my guards arrived, every supernatural within 5 miles felt my power signature at this location. They'll put it together, the missing king found by a lone wolf in exile. They'll come for you to get to me, or they'll come for you to use in their rituals. Either way, you're in danger. Because of you. Yes. Because of me. Because I was selfish and stupid and I put my mate in danger for the sake of a few stolen weeks of feeling human. He reached for me, then stopped, hands falling to his sides. I'm sorry. I'm so goddamn sorry, Sarah. But sorry doesn't keep you safe. Coming with me does. I looked at him, this stranger wearing Ash's face, this king who'd pretended to be broken when he was the most powerful alpha alive. Everything I'd felt, everything I'd believed, had been built on lies. But my wolf stirred again, reaching for him with an instinct older than thought. Recognizing its other half despite every logical reason to reject him. I need you to leave, I said. Sarah. Now. All of you. I need to think, and I can't do that with you standing there looking at me like, I gestured helplessly. Like I'm something precious when you spent weeks lying to my face. Alaric looked like I'd struck him. Good. Give her space, Marcus said quietly. Your Majesty, we should. Post guards, Alaric ordered, his voice hard. Full perimeter. No one gets within 100 yards of this cottage without clearance. You can't do that, I protested. I can and I will. Whether you like it or not, you're under my protection now. He moved toward the door, then paused. I'll give you time to process this. But Sarah? That bond between us, it's going to grow stronger, not weaker. Fighting it will only hurt us both. Maybe I want it to hurt. I know. I deserve that. He looked at me one last time, and the pain in his eyes was almost enough to crack my anger. Almost. But you don't. You deserve better than all of this. Better than me. Then he was gone, taking his guards and his royal authority with him, leaving my cottage feeling simultaneously empty and violated. I sank to the floor, shaking. Beta Marcus lingered at the door. For what it's worth, Miss Lockwood, I've served Alaric for 15 years. I've never seen him care about anyone the way he cares about you. This mission, it was supposed to be purely tactical. He wasn't supposed to form attachments. He smiled slightly. The best laid plans rarely survive contact with true mates. He used me. He protected you. There's a difference. Is there? He could have compelled you to come with him. Could have invoked his authority as king and dragged you to the capital in chains if he wanted. But he didn't. He's giving you a choice, even though it's killing him to walk away. Marcus's expression gentled. The guards outside aren't just for your protection. They're to keep him from coming back before you're ready. Because if he sees you hurting, he won't be able to stop himself from trying to fix it. I don't want to be his mate. That's not really how true bonds work, I'm afraid. But you do get to choose what you do about it. He inclined his head respectfully. I'll have supplies sent from the capital. Food, medicine, whatever you need. You won't be disturbed unless there's danger. Then he left too, and I was finally alone. Except I wasn't. I could feel them out there, the guards, watching. And beyond them, farther away but present like a magnetic pull, I could feel him. Alaric. The bond Marcus mentioned, pulsing like a second heartbeat beneath my skin. I stripped off my shirt, going to the basin of water I kept near the fire. Started washing, trying to scrub away the last few weeks, the last few hours. That's when I saw it. A mark on my shoulder, right over my heart. Not a bruise, not a bite. Something that looked almost like a tattoo but shimmered slightly in the firelight, an intricate pattern of knots and thorns that I hadn't seen before. I touched it and felt power ripple under my skin. Felt the bond flare, strong and undeniable. His scent was in my skin. Not on it, in it, woven into every cell. Any supernatural who came near me would smell him immediately, would know I was claimed. Marked. Bastard, I whispered. But my wolf practically purred with satisfaction, finally feeling complete for the first time in my existence. I dressed again and walked outside, ignoring the guards who straightened at my appearance. Walked to the edge of my clearing where I could see lights in the distance, his camp, probably. The mark on my shoulder burned like a brand. Like a promise. Like a chain I'd never be free of, whether I wanted to be or not. I stood there until dawn, watching the forest and feeling my life, my carefully constructed, solitary, safe life, crumble into ash around me. The Alpha King had saved me and destroyed me in the same breath. And the worst part, the absolutely terrible part, was that my wolf didn't care about the lies or the deception. It only cared that we'd found our mate. And it would never let me forget it. If you're still listening to this story up to this point, why don't you subscribe to this channel to continue getting impactful daily stories like this? We would be most grateful if you can do that to help boost this video to reach everyone. Thank you. Chapter 4. The assassins came on the third night. I was lying awake, as I had been every night since Alaric left, staring at the mark on my shoulder that wouldn't fade. The guards outside were silent, professional, invisible except for the occasional shift in position I could track by sound. Then the silence changed. It happened too fast to process: the crash of bodies, the wet sounds of combat, the acrid smell of silver and blood. I rolled out of bed, grabbing the iron poker from the fireplace, my only weapon. The door exploded inward. 3 wolves in human form, armed and moving with lethal intent. I recognized the scent before I saw the insignia on their gear. Silverpaw. My former pack. "Hello, little broken bird," the lead one said, and I recognized him. Garrett, my brother's friend. Someone I'd grown up with. "Alpha Darius sends his regards." The guards. Dead or dying. We move fast when we need to. He smiled, and it was cruel. "Nothing personal, Sarah. You're just worth more as a ritual component than you ever were as pack." They rushed me simultaneously. I swung the poker, caught one across the temple. He went down hard, but the other 2 were already on me, silver-laced restraints burning my wrists as they dragged me toward the door. Then the world exploded with power. Alaric hit them like a force of nature, all alpha fury and lethal precision. He killed the first one before I could blink, snapped the second one's neck with his bare hands. Garrett tried to run. Alaric caught him by the throat and slammed him against the wall hard enough to crack the wood. "Who sent you?" His voice was barely recognizable, more growl than words. "Go to hell," Garrett spat. Alaric's hand tightened. "Wrong answer." "Your Majesty, we need him alive for questioning." Beta Marcus appeared in the doorway, breathing hard, blood on his jacket. Alaric looked at me, at my burned wrists, my torn nightgown, the terror I couldn't quite hide. Something in his eyes went absolutely cold. "No," he said. "We don't." The crack of Garrett's neck was loud in the sudden silence. I should have been horrified. Should have felt something other than savage satisfaction as Alaric dropped the body and crossed to me, his hands gentle despite the violence still radiating from every line of his body. "Are you hurt?" He examined my wrists, and the murderous rage on his face intensified. "Silver. They used silver on you." "I'm fine." "You're burned. You're terrified. He stopped, breathing hard. "This is my fault. I should have posted more guards. Should have anticipated. How did you get here so fast?" "I felt it. The moment you were in danger, I felt it through the bond." He was already pulling supplies from the pack Marcus handed him, treating my wounds with a competence that spoke of battlefield experience. "I was at the camp. I ran." "You can't have run that fast." "It's 3 miles. I ran," he repeated, and his tone said the conversation was over. More guards flooded in, securing the scene. I watched them work with professional efficiency, removing bodies, checking perimeters, reporting to Marcus in clipped military language. "The cottage is compromised, Your Majesty," Marcus said. "We found evidence of at least 2 more assault teams waiting in the woods." "And," he hesitated. "There's something else." "Show me." Marcus led us outside. Dawn was breaking, painting the sky in shades of pink and gold. Beautiful, if you ignored the bodies. My cottage was burning. Not from the fight. This was deliberate, methodical. Flames engulfed the structure I'd built my life around, consuming 3 years of careful solitude in hungry orange waves. "They're sending a message," Marcus said. She has no home to return to. No sanctuary. Nowhere safe outside your direct protection. I stared at the flames and felt something break inside me. Not the cottage, I could rebuild. But the illusion of safety, of control, of having any choice in what happened next. Pack what you can salvage, Alaric said quietly. We leave for the capital within the hour. No. The word came out automatic, meaningless. Sarah. I said no. I won't, I can't. Your home is gone. Your former pack wants you dead. There are at least a dozen factions who will try to take you to use against me or kill you to eliminate a potential threat. You cannot stay here. His hand found the back of my neck, that possessive alpha gesture that should have angered me but instead made my wolf settle. Please. I'm asking, not commanding. Come with me. Let me keep you safe. Safe in a palace full of wolves who will hate me for being what I am? For being unable to shift. Safe with me, he corrected. Everything else, we'll handle together. I looked at my burning cottage, at the dead assassins, at the impossible situation that had become my life. Looked at Alaric, whose eyes held desperate hope and barely restrained possessiveness in equal measure. Do I have a choice? You always have a choice. But if you stay, you'll die. And his voice cracked. I can't lose you. Not now. Not after finally finding you. The bond between us pulsed, warm and insistent. My wolf whimpered, wanting to lean into him, to accept the protection he offered. I hated that I wanted it too. Fine, I said. But I'm not your mate. I'm not your anything. I'm a guest under your protection, nothing more. Whatever you need to tell yourself, he said softly. As long as you're alive to tell it. They gave me an hour to salvage what I could from the cottage before the structure became too dangerous. I managed to save some clothes, my journal, a few books, and the herbs that hadn't been destroyed. Everything else, my tools, my carefully organized workshop, 3 years of making a life for myself, was ash. The ride to the capital took 2 days. I traveled in a heavily guarded carriage with Alaric riding outside, visible to anyone watching. A statement. The Alpha King personally escorting his, what? Mate? Prisoner? Political liability? I didn't ask. Didn't speak to him except when necessary. Just watched the landscape change from wild forest to cultivated farms to the sprawling city that housed the heart of werewolf power. The palace was obscene. Marble and gold and towering spires that screamed wealth and dominance. Wolves in formal livery lined the entrance, and I felt every eye on me as we passed, assessing, judging, finding me lacking. I kept my chin up and my expression blank. I'd survived exile. I could survive this. Your rooms are in the East Wing, Alaric said as we entered a foyer larger than my entire cottage. You'll have a suite, servants, anything you need. A prisoner in a gilded cage. A guest with every luxury. His jaw tightened. Sarah, I know you're angry. You have every right to be. But please, try to understand the position I'm in. As king. You can show no weakness. Can make no mistakes. Must always be perfect. I turned to him. I get it, Alaric. I understand duty. I just hate being the complication you have to manage. You're not a complication. He glanced at the servants pretending not to listen. We'll talk later. In private. Can't wait, I said flatly. My suite was ridiculous. 3 rooms, bedroom, sitting room, bathing room, each larger than my entire cottage had been. Rich fabrics, expensive furniture, windows overlooking formal gardens. A prison cell for nobility. 2 servants arrived within minutes, introducing themselves as Anna and Beth, assigned to attend to my needs. They were professionally polite and clearly horrified by my rough clothing and lack of court manners. We'll need to get you proper attire for tonight's dinner, miss, Anna said carefully. The formal introduction to court. I'm being paraded already? His Majesty wishes to present you formally, Beth corrected. It's an honor. An honor. Right. They dressed me like a doll, silk gown in deep green, my hair arranged in complicated braids, jewelry I was afraid to touch. When they finished, I barely recognized the woman in the mirror. You look beautiful, Miss, Anna said. I looked like I was playing dress-up in someone else's life. The formal dining hall held at least 100 wolves, all in elegant attire, all watching as I entered on Alaric's arm. The conversations didn't stop exactly, but they quieted. Assessing. Alaric wore his crown, actual gold and precious stones, and formal regalia that transformed him completely. This was the Alpha King, commanding and remote. Nothing like the man who'd fixed my roof and kissed me in the snow. Lords and ladies, he announced, his voice carrying effortlessly. I present to you Sarah Lockwood, my honored guest, and, he paused, and I felt his hand tighten on my arm. My chosen mate. The room erupted. Not with celebration. With shock. Outrage. Barely concealed contempt. I stood there, burning with humiliation, as the whispers started. She can't shift. Broken wolf. Exiled from Silverpaw for being defective. The Alpha King's mate should be strong, not. That's enough. Alaric's voice cut through the noise like a blade. Anyone who questions my choice questions me. I suggest you think carefully about whether you want to do that. The silence that followed was hostile. We were seated at the high table, me beside Alaric, with Beta Marcus and other high-ranking wolves flanking us. Across from me sat the most beautiful woman I'd ever seen, tall, powerful, with alpha presence radiating from every pore. Your Majesty, she said, her voice honey-sweet. How wonderful that you've returned safely. We were all so worried. Lyanna, Alaric acknowledged coolly. Allow me to introduce Sarah. Lyanna's eyes raked over me, and her smile turned cutting. Charming. Though I must say, we're all surprised by your choice. The court expected, well, someone more suitable to the position. Suitable? Strong. Powerful. Capable of producing strong heirs. Her smile widened. But I'm sure your unique qualities have their own appeal. I wanted to throw my wine in her perfect face. Instead, I smiled back. Yes, being authentic must seem quite exotic to you. Her eyes flashed. Around us, several wolves made sounds that could have been shocked laughter or disapproval. Ladies, Alaric said warningly. The dinner was torturous. Every course brought new introductions, new barely veiled insults, new reminders that I didn't belong here. The Alpha elite discussed politics and territory disputes and matters I had no context for, occasionally directing patronizing questions my way. Can you read, dear? One elderly Alpha asked. Can you? I responded, and felt Alaric tense beside me. By the time dessert arrived, I wanted to scream. Or cry. Or both. That's when Lyanna struck. A toast, she announced, standing with her wine glass raised. To our king's safe return, and to his interesting choice of companion. May she bring him great joy. She smiled at me. Raised her glass. And I knew, with bone-deep certainty, that something was wrong. Sarah, don't, Alaric started. But I'd already drunk. Just a sip, following everyone else. The silver hit my system like fire. I gasped, the glass falling from my hand. My throat closed, my chest seized, and I heard someone screaming, maybe me. Then everything went dark. I woke in my suite, in bed, with healers hovering and Alaric pacing like a caged animal. She's awake, one of the healers said. The silver's been neutralized, but she'll be weak for several days. Everyone out, Alaric ordered. Now. They fled. Smart. Alaric stood at the window, back to me, radiating barely controlled fury. Lyanna poisoned your wine. Silver dissolved in the vintage. Enough to kill a normal wolf. But not me. You're stronger than you know. But if I hadn't felt your distress through the bond, if Marcus hadn't immediately identified the poison. He turned, and his eyes were blazing. She tried to kill you. At my table. In my palace. What did you do to her? Nothing yet. But I want to. God, Sarah, I want to rip her apart with my bare hands for touching you. He crossed to the bed, kneeling beside it. Tell me you understand now. Tell me you see why I need you here, where I can protect you. I see that being your mate makes me a target. Being my mate makes you powerful. They attack you because they fear what you represent. What do I represent? I can't even shift. You represent change. Evolution. A future where strength isn't measured solely by violence. He took my hand carefully, mindful of my weakened state. And you represent my humanity. My capacity to care about someone beyond politics and power. They hate that. What's going to happen to Lyanna? That's up to you. Me? You're the injured party. By pack law, you can demand justice. Execution, exile, restitution, whatever you choose. His expression was hard. Though I'll be honest, I'm hoping you choose execution. You'd kill her? Just like that? She tried to kill my mate. There's no just about it. She signed her own death warrant the moment she poisoned your wine. He stood, and the Alpha King was back. But the choice is yours. I won't compel you. I thought about Lyanna's beautiful face, her cruel smile, the casual way she tried to murder me. I want to see your library, I said. He blinked. What? Your library. The royal collection. If I'm stuck here playing princess, I want access to books. Sarah, we're discussing whether to execute someone who tried to kill you. The library can. The library is my price, I interrupted. For not demanding immediate justice against Lyanna. I want time to recover, time to think, and time to understand what the hell I am. Because I survived silver that should have killed me, and I want to know why. He studied me for a long moment. You're not what I expected. Good. I hate being predictable. Done. The library is yours. But Sarah? His expression turned deadly serious. Lyanna will face consequences regardless. Attempted murder of the king's mate isn't something I can ignore, no matter what you decide. Fair enough. He left me to rest, posting guards that I'm sure had orders to prevent anyone from breathing near my door without authorization. I lay in the too-soft bed and touched the mark on my shoulder, feeling the bond pulse with Alaric's concern and rage. I'd survived assassination attempts, poisoning, and being thrust into a political nightmare I barely understood. And tomorrow, I'd start looking for answers. Because something the healers said kept echoing in my mind, stronger than you know. What if I wasn't broken? What if I was something else entirely? The library was a cathedral to knowledge, 3 stories of books, scrolls, and ancient texts. I spent the next 2 days buried in research, barely sleeping, driven by the need to understand. That's where I found it. A reference in a text so old the pages crumbled at my touch. The moon-blessed walk among us in human skin, channels for the goddess's power. They need no fur to claim their strength, for they are the strength. Beware the moon-blessed, for they are both gift and weapon, healer and destroyer, the rarest wolf to walk this earth. I read it 3 times. Then I found another reference. And another. Moon-blessed. Wolves who never shifted because they didn't need to. Whose power manifested in human form, channeling magic directly instead of through transformation. So rare they were considered myth. Wolves who were specifically targeted by blood mages because their life force was exponentially more potent than normal werewolves. Interesting reading? I spun. An elderly woman stood in the aisle, her presence nearly invisible until she spoke. She wore simple robes marked with arcane symbols. Who are you? Morena. Court mage. His Majesty asked me to check on you. She glanced at the book in my hands. Researching Moonblessed? That's an unusual topic. Is it real? Or legend? She studied me with eyes too knowing. Come. Let's discuss this somewhere more private. We walked to a small chamber off the main library, her workspace, filled with crystals and herbs and magical implements I didn't recognize. She gestured for me to sit. You're wondering if you're moon-blessed, she said. Not a question. Am I? Probably. The signs align: dormant wolf, unusual resistance to silver, awakening only in the presence of your true mate. She touched my shoulder where Alaric's mark rested. But confirming it is dangerous. How dangerous? Awakening moon-blessed power can kill you. The magic is volatile, tied to ancient forces we barely understand. Most who attempt the awakening die in the process. She leaned back. Is knowing worth dying for? Is not knowing worth living as a lie? She smiled. Spoken like someone with more courage than sense. I like you. Her expression turned serious. Your former alpha knew what you were. That's why he sealed your wolf and exiled you. He wanted you accessible but vulnerable, waiting until he perfected his blood rituals to harvest you. Bile rose in my throat. My mother sealed my wolf. She must have been trying to protect me. Or hide you until she could figure out what to do with you. Moon-blessed children are dangerous, to themselves and others. Morena stood. I can perform a test. A small awakening, just enough to confirm what you are. But even that carries risk. Do it. Are you certain? I've spent my whole life being called broken. I need to know if I'm actually, I stopped. If I'm actually something else. All right. But we need the king's permission. Why? Because if this goes wrong, he'll have my head. And I'm rather attached to it. Alaric arrived within the hour, summoned by Morena. He listened to her explanation with growing tension. No, he said flatly. Absolutely not. Your Majesty, Morena started. I said no. I won't risk her life to satisfy curiosity. It's not curiosity, I said. It's my identity. Who I am. What I am. Don't I deserve to know? Not if knowing kills you. That's not your choice to make. We stared at each other, the bond between us crackling with conflicting emotions. His fear for my safety. My desperate need for truth. Please, I said quietly. I've been powerless my entire life. Let me at least understand what I'm powerless against. He closed his eyes. If anything happens to you, then you'll have to live with it. Just like I've been living with not knowing. You're going to make me gray before my time, he muttered. Then to Morena, what do you need? The test was simple in theory, terrifying in practice. Morena drew symbols around me in chalk, lit candles at specific points, and began chanting in a language I didn't recognize. This will hurt, she warned. When the magic touches your core, your instinct will be to fight it. Don't. Let it flow through you. That's reassuring. Alaric stood outside the circle, close enough to intervene if necessary but not close enough to disrupt the magic. His hands were clenched into fists. Morena's chanting intensified. The air in the room grew thick, charged. Then. Pain exploded through me. Not physical. Deeper. Like someone was pulling my soul apart to see what was written underneath. I screamed, or tried to, but no sound came out. Light erupted from my skin, silver white and blinding. The candles flared. The chalk lines glowed. And my wolf, my dormant, broken, impossible wolf, roared to life inside me. Not to shift. To exist. To be. I felt power flood through me like nothing I'd ever experienced. Ancient. Primal. Connected to something vast and terrible and beautiful. Then it was gone, and I was on my knees, gasping. By the goddess, Morena breathed. You're not just moon-blessed. She stopped, staring at me with something like awe. You're a true moon-blessed. The first in 300 years. What does that mean? Alaric demanded, already at my side. It means she's exponentially more powerful than any werewolf alive. Including you, Your Majesty. Mirena's hands were shaking. It means that if she learns to channel her power, she could heal or destroy with a thought. And it means, she looked at me with grave seriousness. It means every blood mage on this continent will want you dead or enslaved. You're the most valuable commodity in the supernatural world. Silence fell. I looked at my hands, still human, and felt the power humming just beneath my skin. Waiting. Dormant but aware now. Not broken. Never broken. Just sleeping, waiting for someone strong enough to wake me. I looked at Alaric, and saw my own shock reflected in his eyes. So, I said, my voice rough. Still think I'm just a complication? He laughed, but it sounded strained. Sarah, you were never just anything. What do we do now? I asked. Now? He pulled me close, despite Mirena's presence, despite protocol. Now I figure out how to keep the most powerful and most targeted wolf alive long enough for us to destroy everyone who wants to hurt her. No pressure. None at all, he said, and kissed my forehead. But I saw the fear in his eyes. The same fear I felt. Because I wasn't safe in the capital. I might not be safe anywhere. And the enemies circling us had just become infinitely more dangerous. If you're still listening to this story up to this point, why don't you subscribe to this channel to continue getting impactful daily stories like this? We would be most grateful if you can do that to help boost this video to reach everyone. Thank you. Chapter 5. The pain came in waves. Silver burned differently when you were moon-blessed, I learned. Instead of killing you slowly, it ignited something in your core, a purifying fire that consumed the poison but scorched you from the inside out in the process. I spent 3 days in a fever, my body warring with itself. Alaric never left. I'd surface occasionally to find him beside the bed, holding my hand, his face haggard with worry. Then the pain would drag me under again. On the 4th day, I woke clear-headed. Alaric was asleep in the chair beside my bed, still holding my hand. He looked terrible, dark circles under his eyes, several days' worth of stubble, his formal clothes rumpled. The Alpha King, reduced to a worried man keeping vigil. You look awful, I said. His eyes snapped open. You're awake. Apparently. He was on his feet instantly, checking my forehead, my pulse, examining me with the focus of someone who'd been terrified of losing something precious. How do you feel? Like I burned from the inside out. But alive. I touched his face, the stubble rough against my palm. You didn't sleep. Couldn't. Not until, he stopped, jaw working. The healers said you'd survive, but seeing you like that, in pain, and not being able to do anything except watch. I'm okay now. This time. But they'll try again, Sarah. Lyanna was just the first. Every wolf who opposes my choice of mate, every faction that sees you as weakness, every blood mage who wants your power, they'll all come for you. He pulled back, and I saw the decision in his eyes before he spoke. I'm calling a formal assembly. Today. I'm publicly claiming you as my true mate and invoking the ancient bonding laws. What does that mean? It means attacking you becomes attacking me. Your enemies become my enemies. You'll have the full protection of the throne and the entire kingdom. He hesitated. But it also means marriage. Immediately. A bonding ceremony that's legally and magically binding. My stomach flipped. You're asking me to marry you. I'm asking you to let me protect you the only way I know how. His hand found my face, thumb brushing my cheekbone. I know you're still angry. I know I don't deserve your trust. But this is the only way to keep you safe within pack law. A true mate bond supersedes everything else. No alpha can touch you without declaring war on me. So it's political. It's survival. Yours and, he stopped. And mine. Because if they kill you, it will destroy me. The mate bond doesn't care about politics or logic. Lose you, and I lose myself. I studied his face, seeing the truth of it. The bond between us pulsed, warm and insistent, my wolf reaching for his even now. What about Lyanna? Exiled. Stripped of her title and lands. I wanted execution, but you never gave me that choice, so I made my own. His expression hardened. She's lucky to be alive. And the assembly? What happens there? I present you to the full court. Declare our bond. Anyone who objects has one chance to challenge, either you or me, in formal combat. If we survive the challenges, we're bonded by the end of the night. And if I say no? Pain flashed across his face. Then you stay here as my protected guest, and I spend the rest of my life knowing I found my mate and couldn't have her. Either way, I'll keep you safe. But the bond. He pressed his hand over his heart. The bond will eventually kill us both. True mates who reject each other don't survive long. That's not fair. Nothing about this is fair. But it's real. He stood, putting distance between us like he couldn't trust himself too close. I'll give you time to think. The assembly is at sunset. Whatever you decide, his voice cracked. I'll respect it. He left before I could respond. I spent the day in turmoil. Anna and Beth came to help me dress, chattering nervously about the upcoming assembly, about what it meant to be claimed as the Alpha King's mate. I barely heard them. Marena visited around noon, carrying tea and a knowing expression. Drink, she ordered. It'll help with the residual silver burns. I drank. It tasted like flowers and moonlight. Did he send you? He's pacing outside your door like a caged animal, so yes, indirectly. She settled into a chair. You're wondering whether to accept. I'm wondering whether I have a choice. You always have a choice. It might not be a good one, but it's still a choice. She studied me. What's holding you back? The lies? He used me. Made me care about someone who didn't exist. Didn't he? The man who fixed your roof, who listened to your stories, who kissed you like you were precious, that was real. The name and title were lies, but the man wasn't. She sipped her own tea. Alaric has been king since he was 20 years old. 15 years of carrying the weight of an entire species on his shoulders. Do you know how rare it is for him to let anyone see the person beneath the crown? So I should feel honored. You should feel seen. Because he showed you something he shows no one else, vulnerability. Humanity. The parts of himself he's not allowed to be as king. She set down her cup. He's not perfect. He lied to protect himself and his mission. But everything he felt for you? That was the most honest he's been in years. How do I trust that? You feel it. Through the bond. You know I'm right. I hated that she was right. Hated that my wolf was practically whimpering to accept Alaric, to complete the bond, to stop fighting what felt increasingly inevitable. What if I'm not strong enough for this? I whispered. I can't shift. I barely understand my power. How am I supposed to be queen? By being exactly what you are, a moon-blessed who survived exile, assassination attempts, and the Alpha King's terrible courtship skills. Marena smiled. The court needs someone who understands what it's like to be cast aside. Who'll fight for the broken ones? You're not weak, Sarah. You're precisely what this kingdom needs. No pressure. None at all. She stood. The assembly starts at sunset. Whatever you decide, know that you've already changed everything. The moment Alaric claimed you, the moment your power awakened, the old order started crumbling. Now you get to decide what we build in its place. She left me with that impossible weight of possibility. Sunset came too fast. Anna and Beth dressed me in white, traditional for a mate being presented. The gown was beautiful, all silk and silver embroidery that caught the light like moonbeams. They wove silver ribbons through my hair and painted my lips crimson. I looked like a queen. Felt like an imposter. The assembly hall was packed. Every alpha in the territory, every noble family, every wolf of significance, all gathered to witness the Alpha King claim his mate. The crowd parted as I entered, and I felt every eye on me. Judging. Assessing. Finding me wanting. Alaric stood at the far end, on a raised platform. He wore black and gold, his crown glinting in the candlelight, every inch the powerful Alpha King. But his eyes, those impossible amber and blue eyes, were only for me. I walked toward him, my heart hammering. Each step felt momentous. Final. I reached the platform. He descended to meet me, taking my hand. "You came," he said softly. Still deciding, I answered. Something that might have been a smile flickered across his face. Then he turned to address the assembly, and the Alpha King took over. "I present to you Sarah Lockwood," his voice carried through the massive hall. "Moon blessed. My true mate. The future queen of our people." The hall erupted in shocked whispers. Moon blessed was theory, legend. Having it confirmed publicly changed everything. According to ancient law, any who object may issue formal challenge, to her or to me. Speak now or forever hold your peace. Silence stretched. I held my breath. Then, from the back of the hall, I challenge. The crowd parted. A familiar figure strode forward, and my blood turned to ice. Darius. My former alpha. The one who'd exiled me, sold me to blood mages, tried to have me killed. "You're supposed to be imprisoned," Alaric growled. I was. "Apparently my allies are more competent than yours." Darius smiled, and it was cruel. "I invoke my right as an alpha to challenge this bonding. The moon blessed belongs to Silverpaw. She was born to my territory, raised under my protection. She's mine to claim or kill as I see fit." "She was exiled," Alaric said coldly. "You relinquished all claim when you cast her out." "Did I? Or did I place her exactly where I wanted her, vulnerable and accessible?" Darius turned to me. "Hello, little broken bird. Surprised to see me?" "You're not supposed to be here," I said. "And you're not supposed to be queen. Yet here we both are." He gestured, and wolves emerged from the crowd. Dozens of them, all marked with strange symbols that glowed with unnatural light. Blood magic. "I've brought friends. They're very eager to collect what's rightfully mine." Alaric moved in front of me instantly. "You attack her, you attack me. And every wolf loyal to the crown." "Oh, I'm counting on it." Darius's eyes gleamed. "Because you see, Your Majesty, I've spent years perfecting magic specifically designed to counter alpha strength. Your power? It's fuel for my wolves. The stronger you are, the stronger they become." The marked wolves began to change, not into normal werewolves, but into something twisted. Shadow wolves, twice the size of normal ones, wreathed in dark magic that made the air taste like copper and ash. "Everyone out," Alaric commanded. "Now." The nobles fled, screaming. Beta Marcus rallied the royal guards, but I could see them hesitate. The shadow wolves were nightmares made flesh, and they moved with unnatural speed. "Stay behind me," Alaric ordered, starting his own shift. But the moment his power flared, the shadow wolves grew larger. Fed on it. Just like Darius promised. They attacked in a wave of darkness and teeth. Alaric fought like a demon, all lethal grace and calculated violence. Marcus and the guards joined in, forming a protective circle around me. But for every shadow wolf they killed, two more seemed to appear. And they were getting stronger, feeding on the alpha power being thrown against them. We were losing. "Sarah." Alaric's voice, desperate. Run. Where? They're everywhere. A shadow wolf broke through the guards, lunging straight for me. I threw up my hands instinctively, and silver-white light exploded from my palms. The wolf disintegrated mid-leap, burned to nothing by pure moon-blessed power. Everyone froze. Stared. Well, Darius said slowly. That's inconvenient. I looked at my hands, still glowing, still humming with power I didn't understand. My wolf stirred inside me, fully awake now, ready. Sarah, Alaric said carefully. What did Marena tell you about controlling your power? That it could kill me if I'm not careful. That's not helpful right now. Another wave of shadow wolves attacked. I threw up my hands again, and the light came easier this time, a wall of silver radiance that incinerated everything it touched. But the effort nearly dropped me to my knees. I can't, it's too much. The bond. Marena's voice, from somewhere in the chaos. Complete the bond. His strength will anchor you. We're not bonded yet. I shouted back. Then bond now, you idiots. Alaric fought his way back to me, blood on his clothes, his eyes wild. She's right. If we bond, I can help channel your power. Keep it from burning you out. We're in the middle of a battle. I noticed. He grabbed my face. Sarah, I know this isn't how you wanted this. I know I don't deserve you. But please, trust me one more time. Let me help. I looked at him. This impossible, infuriating, beautiful man who'd lied to me and saved me and made me feel whole for the first time in my life. Looked at the bond between us, golden and waiting. You're buying me a proper proposal after this, I said. I'll buy you a dozen. He kissed me, hard and desperate. Do you accept? Do you take me as your mate, your partner, your equal? Yes. The word felt like surrender and victory all at once. Yes, I accept the bond. Power exploded between us. The mate bond snapped into place, not gentle, not gradual, but like two pieces of a cosmic puzzle finally clicking together. I felt Alaric flood into me, his strength, his will, his absolute determination to protect what was his. And I felt myself flood into him, my power, my pain, my desperate hope that this could somehow work. Then my wolf finally shifted. But not into a normal werewolf. Into something else entirely. I grew, expanded, transformed into a massive silver-white wolf wrapped in lunar light. Larger than any alpha, more powerful than any werewolf that had ever lived. A true moon blessed in her ultimate form. The shadow wolves stopped attacking. Stared. Oh shit, Darius breathed. I roared, not a wolf's howl but something older, primal, and the entire hall shook with the force of it. Then I attacked. The shadow wolves didn't stand a chance. My lunar light didn't just kill them, it cleansed them, burned away the blood magic keeping them alive and freed the souls trapped inside. One by one, they fell, released from Darius's corruption. Alaric fought beside me in his full alpha form, massive and golden, perfectly complementing my silver. We moved like we'd been partners for years instead of minutes, anticipating each other's moves, covering each other's weaknesses. Together, we were devastating. Darius tried to run. I cut him off, planting myself between him and the exit. Slowly, I shifted back to human form, naked and glowing and absolutely done with being afraid. You called me broken, I said, my voice resonating with power. You tried to kill me, use me, harvest me like I was nothing but a resource. But I was never broken. I was sleeping. Waiting. Sarah, please, he fell to his knees. I was wrong. I see that now. Please, show mercy. You showed me none. I looked at Alaric, who'd shifted back and was pulling on a robe someone handed him. He's yours. Alpha justice for an alpha's crimes. Alaric's expression was merciless. Darius of Silverpaw, you are guilty of treason, attempted regicide, blood magic, and crimes against your own pack members. The sentence is death. Wait. Alaric didn't wait. One swift motion, and it was done. My former alpha, the man who'd exiled me, who'd made me feel worthless, fell and didn't rise again. The hall was silent except for heavy breathing and the crackle of dying magic. Bodies littered the floor, shadow wolves and guards both. But we'd won. Survived. Beta Marcus appeared with a robe for me. I wrapped it around myself, suddenly exhausted. Is it over? I asked. The conspiracy is broken, Marcus confirmed. Darius was the ringleader. Without him, the other conspirators will fall apart. What about Silverpaw Pack? We'll appoint a new alpha. Someone who won't experiment on their own people. He glanced between Alaric and me. Congratulations on your bonding, your majesties. Your majesties. Plural. Because I was queen now. Had been the moment I accepted the bond. The weight of that realization nearly buckled my knees. Alaric caught me, pulled me against him. I've got you, he murmured. Always. I think I need to sit down. I think we both do. We were ushered to private chambers while Marcus coordinated cleanup and healers. Alone finally, the adrenaline drained away and left us staring at each other in the aftermath of everything that had just happened. So, Alaric said. We're married. Apparently. You shifted. Into the most magnificent wolf I've ever seen. I did. I looked at my hands, normal again, no glow. I can still feel it. The power. It's not gone, just sleeping until I need it. How do you feel? Terrified. Exhausted. Furious that our bonding ceremony was interrupted by a murder attempt. I met his eyes. And relieved. That you're alive. That we're alive. He crossed to me, slow and careful. I'm sorry. For all of it. The lies, the deception, dragging you into this nightmare of politics and assassination attempts. You deserved better. Yes, I did. I didn't let him look away. But I understand why you did it. Your duty to your people required those lies. I don't like it. I'll probably throw it in your face during arguments for years. But I understand. I can live with that. He touched my face. I need you to know, the man you met in your cottage, who fixed your roof and listened to your stories, that was the realest I've been in 15 years. Being with you, I remembered what it felt like to be just Alaric instead of the Alpha King. That's a gift I can never repay. You can start by never lying to me again. Done. No more secrets. No more deceptions. Even when it's politically convenient or strategically sound, you'll know the truth. He pulled me closer. I love you, Sarah. I think I started falling the moment you dragged my bleeding ass into your cottage and told me I was going to get you killed. You did get me almost killed. Multiple times. I'm aware. I'll spend the rest of our lives making up for it. You better. I wound my arms around his neck. Because I love you too. Against my better judgment, despite every logical reason not to, I love you. He kissed me then, and it felt different than before. Complete. The bond between us sang with rightness, with the certainty that we were exactly where we were supposed to be. I should warn you, I said when we finally broke apart. I'm going to be a terrible queen. Why? Because I'm going to fight for all the wolves the system forgot. The exiles, the ones who can't shift, the ones deemed broken or defective. I'm going to tear down every law that allowed people like Darius to thrive. I met his eyes. And I'm not asking permission. He smiled, genuinely smiled, with pride and affection and heat. I'm counting on it. You think I chose you just because of the mate bond? You're going to remake this kingdom into something better than I ever could alone. That's what I need. A partner who'll challenge me, who'll fight for what's right even when it's inconvenient. Even when I'm fighting you? Especially then. Keep me honest, Sarah. keep me human. He swept me into his arms. Now, I believe there's a traditional way to complete a bonding. In the middle of political chaos? The chaos can wait. You're my mate, my queen, and I'm going to claim you properly if it's the last thing I do. He carried me to the bedroom, and for the first time since he'd burst back into my life with royal guards and devastating truths, everything felt right. Not easy, we'd have years of challenges ahead, of politics and power struggles and learning to rule together. But right. Fated. He laid me on the bed with reverence, unwrapping me from the robe like I was precious. And when he made love to me, it was different than before. Deeper. The bond amplified everything, every touch, every sensation, every emotion flowing between us until I couldn't tell where I ended and he began. Mine, he growled against my throat. My mate. My queen. Mine. Yours, I agreed, gasping as pleasure built. And you're mine. Equal claim. Equal bond. Always. We came together, crying out as the bond fully sealed. I felt it click into place in my soul, permanent, unbreakable, ours. Afterward, we lay tangled together, both glowing faintly with residual magic. The court is going to lose their minds when they see what you can do, Alaric said, trailing his fingers down my spine. Good. They need shaking up. You're going to be magnificent. We're going to be magnificent, I corrected. Partners, remember? Partners, he agreed, and kissed my marked shoulder. Though I maintain I got the better end of this deal. Obviously. You got me. He laughed, and the sound was free and joyful. I love you, Sarah Lockwood Thorne. I love you too, you manipulative, overprotective, occasionally infuriating alpha king. That's your mate to you. Don't push it. We stayed like that until dawn, wrapped in each other and the bond that would tie us together for the rest of our lives. Outside, the kingdom was changing. Inside, we were finally home. 2 weeks later. The formal coronation was everything the interrupted bonding ceremony wasn't: planned, elegant, and mercifully lacking in assassination attempts. I wore a gown of silver and white, and when Morena placed the crown on my head, I felt the weight of it settle like destiny. The moon-blessed queen, she announced. First in 300 years. All hail Queen Sarah. The court bowed. Some with genuine respect, others with poorly hidden resentment. I didn't care. I had work to do. My first act as queen was establishing a council for forgotten wolves, those who'd been exiled, rejected, or deemed unworthy by traditional pack standards. We'd give them sanctuary, purpose, and power. My second act was making it illegal to exile wolves for inability to shift. The old guard hated it. I didn't care about that either. You're going to make enemies, Alaric said one night, reading over my latest proposal. Good. The right enemies means I'm doing something right. He pulled me into his lap. Have I mentioned I'm wildly attracted to your revolutionary tendencies? You may have hinted at it. Hints nothing. Seeing you in full queen mode, tearing down unjust laws, it's incredibly attractive. We have a council meeting in 20 minutes. That's 18 minutes longer than I need. I laughed as he nuzzled my neck. Insatiable. For you? Always. Life wasn't perfect. We fought, passionately and often, about policy and precedent and how far to push reform. But we always came back together, the bond between us unbreakable. Some nights, I dreamed of my cottage in the woods. The simple life I'd built for myself. But I didn't miss it. That Sarah had been surviving. This Sarah was living. 3 months into our reign, Marcus burst into our private dining room looking pale. Your Majesties, we have a problem. What kind of problem? Alaric asked. The mountain territories have gone dark. No communication in 3 weeks. And scouts report. He hesitated. They report something moving in the peaks. Something old. Something that hasn't stirred in centuries. Alaric and I exchanged glances. The bond between us hummed with shared concern. How old? I asked. Ancient. Possibly older than werewolf civilization itself. Alaric stood, instantly in command mode. Mobilize the elite guard. Send envoys to the neighboring alphas. If something's waking in the mountains, we need to know what and why. Marcus left to carry out orders. I stood too, moving to the window. In the distance, I could see the mountain range that bordered our territory, dark and imposing against the evening sky. What do you think it is? I asked. I don't know. But whatever it is, we'll face it together. Alaric came up behind me, wrapping his arms around my waist. You and me. Partners. Partners, I agreed, leaning back against him. I touched the mark on my shoulder, his claim, his love, his promise, and felt the bond pulse with certainty. Whatever was coming, we'd survive it. Because the Alpha King had found his moon-blessed mate. And together, we were unstoppable. The end. But the mountains remember, and what sleeps in the ancient places is beginning to wake. The moon-blessed queen and her Alpha King will face threats darker than blood magic, older than pack law, and more dangerous than anything they've survived yet. Their story has only just begun. Thank you for watching this video. Subscribe, like and share this video to continue listening to this type of story daily and also, to appreciate this community too. I would like to hear your wonderful opinion about this story. Please comment below.